This is live from Delhi. You are watching DT India News Hour on DT India, India's voice to the world. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi leaves for India after a highly successful US visit. Modi-Trump meet bolsters ties, cooperation in artificial intelligence on the anvil. Big push to bilateral trade volume between India and US. Modi-Trump meet bolsters ties. Bilateral trade doubles up to $500 billion. In other news, Germany all set to host the 61st Munich Security Conference starting today. Wants and President Zelensky to attend. And it's curtains down for 38 national games in hilly state of Uttarakhand. India's Home Minister Amit Shah to grace the closing ceremony this evening. Our top story. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is en route to New Delhi after successfully wrapping up a very productive and substantive visit to United States of America. Making a greater stride in the India-US special relationship, Prime Minister Modi had an excellent meeting with President Donald Trump at the White House in Washington, D.C. Upon arrival, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi warmly greeted each other and shook hands, with President Trump saying, and I quote, missed you a lot. The leaders held extensive talks on a wide range of subjects, including trade and technology, defense and security, energy and people-to-people ties. Both sides also exchanged views on regional and international developments of mutual interest. It was the first in-person meeting between the two leaders since President Trump's inauguration on 20th of January. India and the United States are setting the stage for a groundbreaking trade partnership with ambitious goals in mind. Two world powers, one shared vision. More details in this report.
The issue of tariffs was a sticking point between the two countries right from the beginning of the visit. But the talks happened in a conducive environment with both sides putting out their concerns, and the leaders mandated their officials to work out a comprehensive deal on trade that addresses the issue of tariffs and market access.
In a historic announcement on Thursday, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump unveiled their target to boost bilateral trade to a staggering $500 billion by 2030, doubling the current figures. The two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening economic ties between the oldest and largest democracies.
अमेरिका के लोग राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के मोटो मेक अमेरिका ग्रेट अगेन यानी मागा से परिचित है। भारत के लोग भी विरासत और विकास की पटरी पर विकसित भारत 2047 के दृढ़ संकल्प को लेकर तेज गति शक्ति से विकास की ओर अग्रसर है। अमेरिका की भाषा में कहूं तो विकसित भारत का मतलब मेक इंडिया ग्रेट अगेन यानी मिगा।
Energy security for India has emerged as a key issue in trade talks. PM Modi highlighted the importance of increasing oil and gas trade to ensure India's energy security. The two countries are also ramping up their cooperation in the nuclear energy field, especially in the development of small modular reactors.
द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को 2030 तक 2 गुना से भी अधिक बढ़ाकर $500 बिलियन तक पहुंचाने का लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया है। हमारी टीमें एक पारस्परिक लाभकारी ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट को शीघ्र संपन्न करने पर काम करेगी.
The announcement comes as the US and India work towards finalizing a mutually beneficial trade agreement that would focus on cutting tariffs and improving access to each other's markets. As both nations look to expand trade, the issue of tariffs remains a topic of discussion. The proposed trade deal aims to reduce these barriers, making it easier for businesses to thrive on both sides.
We're just going to get along well. We're going to get along with all countries. We're going to do very well. We're going to be doing, I think, record business, record numbers. And we're going to work with India also. We have some very big trade deals to announce in the very near future.
The key takeaway from PM Modi's US visit is clear. India and the US are working hand in hand towards a future of shared growth and opportunity. With a focus on energy, defense and trade, the two nations are setting a new course for bilateral ties and partnerships. Amritpal Singh from Washington, D.C., DD India.
US President Donald Trump on Thursday offered to sell state-of-the-art military platforms to India as he and Prime Minister Modi unveiled a long-term roadmap to rev up or spruce up a defense partnership between the two nations.
US President Donald Trump welcomed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi with a long handshake and a warm hug at his Oval Office in the White House. He described the Prime Minister as a great friend for a long time.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's US visit was a short but significant one. Beyond resetting the trade ties, the two leaders advocated for closer engagement in defense, space, critical technologies and more.
The warmth and bonhomie is not limited to this meeting alone. It is, in fact, also reflecting in ever-increasing trust and partnerships in key areas of high-end defense platforms too. The joint statement highlighted that the leaders reaffirmed their unwavering commitment to a dynamic defense partnership spanning multiple domains. Both the leaders announced plans to sign this year a new 10-year framework for the US-India major defense partnership in the 21st century.
अमेरिका की महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है. स्ट्रैटेजिक और ट्रस्टेड पार्टनर के नाते हम जॉइंट डेवलपमेंट, जॉइंट प्रोडक्शन और ट्रांसफर ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी की दिशा में सक्रिय रूप से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. अगले दशक के लिए डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन फ्रेमवर्क बनाया जाएगा. डिफेंस इंटरऑपरेबिलिटी, लॉजिस्टिक्स, रिपेयर और मेंटेनेंस भी इसके मुख्य भाग होंगे.
The leaders also pledged to accelerate defense technology cooperation across space, air defense, missile, maritime, and undersea technologies. United States has announced a review of its policy on releasing fifth-generation fighters and undersea systems to India. Both the leaders also pledged to elevate military cooperation across all domains that will include air, land, sea, space, and cyberspace, and it will be done through enhanced training, exercises, and operations incorporating the latest technologies. With inputs from Shubhendu Ghosh in Washington, D.C., Bureau Report, DD India.
And also, Prime Minister Modi and President Trump discussed the sensitive issue of illegal immigration, on which Prime Minister Modi stressed on the need to finish the ecosystem of human trafficking. He also expressed confidence that President Trump will fully cooperate with India in achieving these goals.
हम इस मत के हैं कि गैर कानूनी तरीके से जो लोग दूसरे देशों में होते हैं उनको वहां रहने का कोई कानूनी अधिकार तो है नहीं. जहां तक भारत और अमेरिका का सवाल है, हमने हमेशा कहा है कि जो वेरीफाइड होगा, कि जो सच्चे अर्थ में भारत का ही नागरिक होगा, वो अगर अमेरिका में गैर कानूनी तरीके से रहता है तो उसको वापस लेने के लिए भारत तैयार है। लेकिन बात हमारे लिए वहां से रुकती नहीं है। ये सामान्य परिवारों के बच्चे होते हैं, उनको बड़े बड़े सपने दिखाए जाते हैं और उनको ज्यादातर ऐसे होते हैं उनको गुमराह करके लाया जाता है। और इसलिए ये ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग में जुड़े हुए पूरे इकोसिस्टम पर हमने वार करना चाहिए। और अमेरिका और भारत मिल करके हमारी कोशिश है और हमारी कोशिश रहनी चाहिए कि इस प्रकार की पूरी इकोसिस्टम को हमें जड़ मूल से नष्ट करना चाहिए ताकि ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग बंद हो और गरीब लोगों को जो अपनी धन दौलत बेच करके ऐसे बड़े बड़े सपने दिखा करके उनको अंधेरे में रख करके ले जाया जाए, उनके साथ भी अन्याय है। और इसलिए ट्रंप भी इस इकोसिस्टम को खत्म करने में भारत का पूरा सहयोग करेंगे।
On the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Prime Minister Modi reiterated that India stands with peace while appreciating President Trump's efforts to bring an end to the conflict.
मैं रशिया और यूक्रेन दोनों से लगातार संपर्क में रहा हूं। मैं स्वयं भी दोनों देश की मुलाकात कर चुका हूं। बहुत से लोगों का एक भ्रम है कि भारत न्यूट्रल है। मैं साफ करना चाहता हूं, भारत न्यूट्रल नहीं है। हमारा अपना एक पक्ष है और हमारा पक्ष है शांति, पीस। और मैंने इसी एक हमारे सिद्धांत को लेकर के राष्ट्रपति पुतिन की हाजिरी में मीडिया के सामने स्पष्ट रूप से कहा था कि युद्ध का समय नहीं है। और आज भी मेरा कन्विक्शन है कि युद्ध के मैदान में समस्याओं के समाधान नहीं निकलते हैं, अल्टीमेटली वार्ता के टेबल पर ही होते हैं। और भारत का लगातार प्रयास रहा है कि दोनों लोग जिसमें मौजूद हो वैसे फोरम में बातचीत होगी तब कोई रास्ता निकलेगा। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप जो प्रयास कर रहे हैं मैं उनका स्वागत करता हूं, समर्थन करता हूं और मैं चाहता हूं कि राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप हो सके उतना जल्दी सफल हो ताकि दुनिया में शांति के रास्ते खुले।
Earlier, U.S. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz called on Prime Minister Modi. The discussions touched upon ways to further deepen the India-U.S. comprehensive global strategic partnership with a focus on strategic technologies as well as defense, industrial cooperation and civil nuclear energy with an emphasis on small modular reactors and counterterrorism. They also discussed international and regional issues of mutual interest. The head of the U.S. Department of Government Efficiency and the CEO of Tesla, Elon Musk, also called on Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister Modi and Musk discussed strengthening collaborating between Indian and U.S. entities in innovation, space exploration, artificial intelligence and sustainable development. The discussion also touched upon opportunities to deepen cooperation in emerging technologies, entrepreneurship and good governance. Musk was accompanied by his family to the meeting. Entrepreneur and politician Vivek Ramaswamy also called upon Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Washington, D.C. Leaders talked about diverse issues including innovation and culture among others. They had insightful discussions on India-US ties, biotechnology and the role of entrepreneurship in shaping the future. Vivek Ramaswamy was accompanied by his father-in-law for the meeting. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Coming up next, we talk about the big takeaways from the Meet for India as US President Donald Trump approves extradition of 26/11 Mumbai terror attack accused Tahawwur Rana to India. And vaccine critic Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sworn in as US Health and Human Services Chief. Resort construction site Fire claims 6 lives in South Korea.
Prasar Bharati, in collaboration with IIT Delhi and Software Technology Parks of India, is organizing the DD Robocon 2025 this year as well. In this National Robotic Championship, engineering students will get ample opportunities to showcase their ingenuity and potential. The national selection for this championship will be held on the 12th and 13th of July, and the winning team will get an opportunity to participate in the International ABU Robocon Championship to be held in Mongolia in August this year. So, hurry up! The last date of registration is the 16th of February. For more information, log on to www.ddrobocon.iitd.ac.in.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal, but let's move on to some more news and updates from Prime Minister Modi's US visit. US President Donald Trump has announced that his administration has approved the extradition of Tahawwur Rana, wanted by India for his role in 26/11 Mumbai terror attack, to face justice in India.
One of the key and perhaps biggest takeaways from Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump's bilateral meeting is the US administration's decision to extradite Tahawwur Rana.
Today I'm pleased to announce that my administration has approved the extradition of one of the plotters and one of the very evil people of the world, and having to do with the horrific 2008 Mumbai terrorist attack, to face justice in India. So he's going to be going back to India to face justice.
Rana is a Canadian national of Pakistani origin and is one of the main plotter of the dastardly 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. He is an associate of Pakistani-American terrorist David Coleman Headley. Headley was one of the main conspirators of the 26/11 attacks. The US Supreme Court on January 21st this year declined to hear a review petition from Rana on his extradition. India has been working with American authorities for early extradition of Rana.
On Tahawwur Rana, I think I addressed this in an earlier press conference as well. This is an issue on which the US authorities have taken very clear decisions. I think you've seen the president announce it himself from the White House podium, the decision of the United States to extradite him. It's reflected there in the joint statement as well. We are working on the logistics of this, his surrender and extradition to India. There are a few final steps to be completed. The two sides are in touch on this particular issue.
Rana was based in the city of Chicago and was convicted in 2011 and sentenced to 13 years in prison. He is currently lodged at a Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles. Bureau Report, DD India.
Staying with the big story, vaccine critic Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been sworn in as the next U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary. Kennedy will now oversee multiple high-profile agencies, including the FDA and Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The U.S. Senate earlier on Thursday voted to confirm Kennedy 52-48 with Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, the lone Republican, joining all 47 Democrats to vote against Kennedy. And just ahead of Kennedy's swearing-in, President Trump signed an executive order to establish a commission to make America healthy again. The commission would investigate chronic illness and deliver an action plan to fight childhood diseases. As Kennedy was sworn into the post, he pledged to protect existing vaccination programs.
A healthy person has 1,000 dreams. A sick person only has one. 60% of our population has only one dream, that they get better. President Trump has promised that he's going to restore America's strength. But we can't be a strong nation if we have a weak citizenry.
And Trump's pick to head the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI. The Indian-American Kash Patel won the approval of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday. The Senate committee has cleared the way for a vote to confirm Patel, who has called for a radical reshaping of the nation's top law enforcement agency. In a 12-10 party-line vote, the panel approved Patel's nomination despite deep reservations by Democrats, who said he is unfit to lead the Bureau. Shifting focus to some other news now, Russian cybercriminal Alexander Winnik is back in Moscow after a U.S. prisoner swap, thanking President Vladimir Putin for securing his release. Winnik, who pleaded guilty to money laundering conspiracy in May 2024, was extradited to the U.S. from Greece in 2022. Russian officials hail his return as a diplomatic win. Also, Leonid Slutsky, who is the head of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Russia's State Duma, lower house of parliament, told media that Winnik's return home was yet another win for Russian diplomacy and all services and agencies associated with his liberation. Well, Germany is all set to host the 61st Munich Security Conference 2025 starting today, and the conference will continue till 16th of February. The conference will be attended by more than 60 leaders of the countries and governments. During the conference, US, Russian and Ukrainian officials will meet in Munich. US President Donald Trump informed about the same. However, Kyiv responded that it did not expect to hold talks with Russia in the German city.
Russia is going to be there with our people. Ukraine is also invited, by the way. Not sure exactly who's going to be there from any country, but high-level people from Russia, from Ukraine, and from the United States.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will attend the security conference. Zelensky is due to meet Vance and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio before the Munich Security Conference. Germany is all set to host Munich Security Conference on Friday, as we told you earlier. The meeting comes after US President Donald Trump held a telephonic conversation with Russia's Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, and said Ukraine could neither have all of its land back nor join NATO. Well, on the Russia-Ukraine peace deal, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Ukraine would not accept any bilateral agreements on its fate reached by Moscow and Washington in its absence. Further, President Zelensky called for Europe to have a seat at the negotiating table at the end of the war.
It's important that everything does not go according to Russian President Vladimir Putin's plan, in which he wants to do everything to make his negotiations bilateral between him and the United States of America. We, as a sovereign country, simply will not be able to accept any agreements without us.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelensky on Friday claimed that an overnight drone strike by Russia damaged the radiation shelter of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Zelensky also said that the damage caused a fire and the radiation levels have to be monitored continuously. In response to this claim, Russia has said that Ukraine carried out a strike on the thermal power plant located near Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station late night on Thursday. The power plant in the city of Inhodar left more than 50,000 people without electricity, and work to restore electricity is underway. From Russia, Ukraine, let's move on to the latest on the Israel-Hamas ceasefire, where Hamas is expected to name 3 hostages for release this weekend in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. This comes after Israel warned on Thursday that if Hamas does not free the 3 living hostages as scheduled, military operations will resume.
Framework in place for the release of our hostages. There are important markers, there are important steps on this framework. That framework makes clear that 3 live hostages must be released by Hamas terrorists on Saturday. If Hamas adhere to the agreement, indeed if they violate this agreement and do not release our hostages, the government has made clear that it has instructed our armed forces, and we have already amassed forces inside and surrounding Gaza. So, if those three are not released, if Hamas does not return our hostages by Saturday noon, the ceasefire will end.
Meanwhile, aid and fuel trucks continue to roll through Gaza on Friday, a day before the next round of the expected release of hostages in the already fragile ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel. Well, at least 6 people have been reportedly dead in a fire that broke out at a resort construction site in South Korean Busan on Friday. Fire authorities have evacuated around 100 people from the resort as per the reports from the local media, Yonhap. 7 people have been injured as authorities fear the death toll may still rise as rescue efforts are still underway. Well, packed with gusts of wind up to 290 kilometers per hour, powerful Category 5 cyclone Zelia makes landfall in Australia's minerals-rich western coast on Friday, sparking emergency warnings, relocation and prompting closure of ports in Pulwama region. Authorities have warned residents to stay indoors at all costs. The powerful tropical cyclone brought heavy rainfall up to 500 millimeter in Port Hedland, with possible risk of flash floods and storm surge. The cyclone weakened slightly to Category 4 as it moved over the Pulwama region. According to Australia's Weather Department, the northwest coast of Western Australia is the most cyclone-prone region in the country. And as we move on, let's take a quick look at the other stories making news around the world. South Korean director Bong Joon-ho's latest film, Mickey 17 in Leicester Square in central London, witnessed famous actors on red carpet for its world premiere. The sci-fi genre movie will release on February 28th in South Korea and from March 5th in other countries. Ahead of the release of the final episodes of the last season of martial arts series Cobra Kai, Netflix held a premiere event in Los Angeles which witnessed the current cast and crew. And tens of thousands of people from Mali gathered in the town of Ségou for a week-long Mali cultural festival showcasing Malian music, visual art, theatre and dance. This year's festival, though, had a military vibe as the country recently exited from ECOWAS. And still to come on DD India News Hour, we will be examining the big takeaways from recently concluded visit of Prime Minister Modi to Washington DC, with the former ambassador to US joining us on the show. The 4th episode of Pariksha Pe Charcha focused on the important role of the nutrition in enhancing mental clarity, energy and overall health. And 6 years of Pulwama attack, Prime Minister Modi remembers the valor of the fallen heroes of Pulwama terror attack, 14th Feb 2019.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Clean energy is the future for sure. We are still not able to produce enough energy through renewable sources yet. But why is it so, and how can we change that?
We introduced solar-powered street lights, cutting consumption by 5%. Then I had the government build green homes fitted with solar panels, making us more energy independent.
The panels contain a lot of rare commodities, and you can save a lot of energy if you use recycled materials.
We run off hydro power or wind power, so the electricity we have is sustainable and renewable. So of course that's the most sustainable we can do.
When it transforms and translates into results that is tangible, they can see the difference that it makes to their environment. It's a huge thing.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and before we move on, let's do a quick recap of the top stories we are tracking on your channel. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi e-planes for India after a highly successful US visit. Prime Minister Modi and President Trump meeting bolsters Indo-US ties. Cooperation in artificial intelligence on the anvil. It's a big push to bilateral trade volume between US and India. Bilateral trade doubles up to $500 billion. And Germany all set to host the 61st Munich Security Conference 2025 starting today. Vice President Vance and President Zelensky to attend. Well, this was a meeting that defined the strong bonds between the two great world leaders. A warm hug and a message that clearly shows the mega partnership. Further strengthening the bond between two leaders, US President Donald Trump welcomed India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi with a hug, rather a very warm gesture, saying, and I quote, "We missed you a lot," unquote. After a handshake, both leaders posed with thumbs up gesture in front of the cameras, and showing his regard towards India's Prime Minister, President Trump pulled out a chair, again as a gesture for Prime Minister Modi. President Trump presented Prime Minister Modi with a signed copy of the book titled Our Journey Together, unquote, and wrote a personal message on it that read, "Mr. Prime Minister, you are great. The book is a compilation of the photos of their past interactions." Donald Trump, in fact, hailed Prime Minister Modi's negotiating skills and called him a better negotiator during the news conference after their bilateral meeting on Thursday. President Trump also called him a great leader. Prime Minister Modi also expressed delight in meeting the President Trump.
President, yes, go ahead. This is Saurabh Shukla from News Mobile. Mr. President, you spoke about Prime Minister Modi as a tough negotiator. Who was a tougher negotiator today, and who has a better negotiating tactic when it comes to tariffs?
Oh, he's a much tougher negotiator than me, and he's a much better negotiator than me. There's not even a contest. Okay?
Okay. Let's now welcome Ambassador Meera Shankar, former Indian ambassador to US, joining us on this broadcast to examine the big takeaways. But ma'am, I'm sure you heard that line from President Trump calling Prime Minister Modi a tougher negotiator, quote unquote. And, you know, there were a lot of speculations and the sticky point on tariff conversations. How would we navigate those conversations? But at the end of the day, it's settled. It's more than settled, would you say? Your overall take on the deliverables, then we can go on the specifics.
Well, I think, as I had said earlier, that India's effort will be to situate the relationship in the strategic partnership, to assess what it has achieved so far, and to see what the future trajectory of the partnership is going to be. not letting individual issues dominate the relationship. So that is exactly what has happened. We've had a dialogue. The two countries have announced compact, as they call it, catalyzing opportunities for military cooperation and cooperation in commerce and trade and technology. So that's a major announcement. They've set a target for $500 billion in two-way trade by 2030. But this means that there were slippages, because this target of $500 billion, I think, was first set when Obama had visited India as the chief guest for Republic Day. So we haven't grown as fast as anticipated, but trade has been growing at a reasonably robust pace. Then in the defense sector, I think there are going to be new opportunities. The defense framework on India as a major partner, another 10-year framework for defense cooperation will be signed or negotiated and signed during the course of the year. And then we are looking at purchase of new defense platforms from the US, including the maritime surveillance aircraft, some anti-tank Javelin anti-tank missiles, and perhaps Stryker armored car vehicles. There will also be discussions on cooperation in energy. Trump has gone back on promoting renewable energy. So the focus, I suppose, will be on fossil fuels, and Trump announced that India may buy more oil and gas from the United States. So that is something which will also be on the agenda. But just before the meeting, Trump did pass his executive order on reciprocal tariffs for all countries, which would include India. And then he also made the remark that our weighted average tariff for agricultural imports is 5%, whereas India's is 39%. And then he said India has 100% tariffs on motorcycles.
So to say, would you say so far, as the bilaterals get finalized, there is a middle ground that we have reached on tariff? Because remember, as a run-up, yes, ma'am.
I don't think it's the middle ground, but what we have done is to lay the framework for discussions on the issue. That is what both sides will do. The reciprocal tariffs will come into effect on 1st April. So I suppose both countries will try to negotiate some kind of a via media by then. Steel and aluminium tariffs of 25%, which Trump imposed, I think a few days ago, have already come into effect. And they hit for $400 million of India's aluminium exports.
Okay. Okay. Ma'am, how do you see the conversions of Make India Greater Again and the Make America Greater Again? If you, the whole vision of Make in India or Make India Great Again under Viksit Bharat, the flagship vision that we have, and of course, Trump's Make America Great Again under Trump 2.0 administration, the convergence of these two ideas into powerful democracies.
Well, I think both President Trump and Prime Minister Modi have a degree of ideological convergence because they are both conservative leaders. They lead conservative parties. As far as Make America Great Again is concerned, it's the slogan on which Trump won his election. It was a core part of his campaign, and it involves really strengthening America's economy, even at the cost of other partners. As far as India's Make in India or a developed India, or as Prime Minister Modi said, make India great again. This is something where we are trying to build our own strength, particularly in manufacturing and technology, and defense, without necessarily, really harming others. So I think there's a difference. And also, while the ideas may be similar, sometimes the competing nationalisms can also rub up against each other.
Right.
Because, if everything has to be America's way to make America great again, or India, I think it would be difficult. So, but the basic
because
thing
we
is
also have, you would agree, our own version of the India way, right?
Yes, yes.
Ambassador Shankar, significant impact of India's global standing or positioning, and also this visit adding more depth and momentum to Indo-US ties, not necessarily under Trump's leadership, but going forward, because you've been the former envoy to US, you've seen the whole trajectory. Your final comments now, Modi 3.0 and Trump 2.0, because this visit was widely watched by the world as well, the rest of the world.
Well, I think that India has shown flexibility on many of Trump's core concerns. We have, for instance, agreed to take back illegal immigrants who may be deported from the United States. We have agreed that we are willing to look at reducing tariffs on US exports to India, making more defense purchases, and also looking at more oil and gas imports. Now, as far as defense and oil and gas imports are concerned, there is a synergy because India imports oil, India imports defense equipment. So there is a synergy. But I think on illegal immigration, we have signaled that we are willing to take back. But I think the political theater around the way in which the first set of deportees was sent was avoidable. And certainly one would hope that going into the future, there will be a more discreet way of sending the deportees back on commercial flights or chartered flights, as used to happen in the past.
Right.
Because it makes it more difficult. If it becomes a political issue in India, it makes it more difficult for the two countries to navigate. So even from the US side, there should be recognition that if they want to deport, doing it in a way which makes it easier for India to accept is certainly desirable.
We leave it there.
Going forward,
Going
forward, I would say that the relationship is robust, and that the two countries do want to strengthen their ties in a whole range of strategic sectors, while negotiating the minefields that Trump's nationalistic policies may put in the way.
All right, we'll leave it there. Such a pleasure talking to you, ma'am, as always. Short but extremely significant visit of Prime Minister Modi to US, which was high on both symbolism and substance. Thank you, ma'am. Now let's shift our focus to some other stories that we are tracking. The 4th edition of Samvad, the Global Hindu-Buddhist Initiative for Conflict Avoidance and Environmental Consciousness, began in Thailand today. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared a video message during which he highlighted the deep cultural ties between India and Thailand, which have existed for over 2,000 years, and underscored the role of Asian traditions in fostering peace and harmony.
India and Thailand share deep cultural ties that span over 2,000 years. The Ramayana and Ramakien connect us. Our shared reverence for Bhagavan Buddha unites us. Last year, when we sent holy relics of Bhagwan Buddha to Thailand, millions of devotees paid their respects. Our nations also share a vibrant partnership across multiple sectors. India's Act East policy and Thailand's Act West policy complement each other, promoting mutual progress and prosperity.
Moving on, the fourth episode of Pariksha Pe Charcha focused on the important role of nutrition in enhancing mental clarity, energy and overall health. Nutrition experts discussed how good nutrition is essential for a sharp mind, emphasizing its role in academic and personal successes, and shared tips on incorporating healthy foods into daily life. Wellness expert Rujuta Dibarkar highlighted that stress often leads to digestive issues among children as well.
स्ट्रेस के वजह से पाचन में प्रॉब्लम आता है, तो एक तो ऐसे हो जाता है कि लूज मोशन हो गया या फिर कॉन्स्टिपेशन, और दोनों में भी जो एक फ्रूट है जो कमाल का काम करता है वो है केला, जो सब जगह मिलेगा। फिर दही चावल एक दूसरी ऐसी चीज़ है जो हर जगह पर आपको मिलती है। आप पानी ही पी रहे हो, हाइड्रेशन के नाम पर बॉटल खोल के चीज़ें नहीं पी रहे हो, घर का ही पानी रेगुलर आपका टैप वाटर आप पीजिए। और चौथी चीज़ जो कि आपके पाचन क्रिया को ज़्यादा ताकतवर बनाती है वो है खेलना।
And health and nutrition influencer Revant Himmat Singha emphasized the importance of setting achievable, realistic goals for better well-being and success.
Imagine करिए अगर लाखों करोड़ों लोग हम सब मिलके लेबल पढ़ने लग जाएं, तो हमें जानकारी हो जाएगी कि हम अपने शरीर के अंदर क्या डाल रहे हैं। तो मेरा गोल है अगले 5 साल में हेल्थ को स्कूल करिकुलम में ला सकता है। नहीं, मैं ट्राई करता हूँ कि कुछ गोल्स जो हो वो थोड़ा अचीवेबल होना चाहिए। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बोला था कि डोंट सेट अनरियलिस्टिक गोल्स। आई थिंक दैट्स वन ऑफ द मिशन स्टेटमेंट्स।
Macrobiotic nutritionist Shanali Shabarwal recommended millet-based dishes in breakfast for sustained energy throughout the day.
जो आपका सुबह का मील होता है, समझो आप ब्रेकफास्ट में कुछ मिलेट का पदार्थ डालें तो वो आपको 8 आवर्स के लिए सपोर्ट करेगा। तो जैसे हमारे प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा है बी योर ओन एंकर, उसका बी योर ओन एंकर स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम देयर, सुबह से।
February 14, 2025 marks 6 years of the deadly and dastardly Pulwama terror attack where 40 CRPF personnel laid down their lives on the line of duty. On February 14, 2019, a suicide bomber targeted a convoy of the Central Reserve Police Force or CRPF in Pulwama in South Kashmir, resulting in the tragic loss of 40 brave hearts. The bus was part of a larger convoy of around 2,500 paramilitary troops and 78 vehicles travelling from Jammu to Srinagar on National Highway 44. Terrorist group Jaish-e-Mohammed later claimed responsibility of the attack. In response to the Pulwama terror attack on February 26, 2019, the Indian Air Force entered a Pakistani airspace and carried out precision strikes on the terror camps in Balakot. On the anniversary of the Pulwama attack, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi remembered the valor of our brave soldiers who sacrificed their lives on the line of duty. On social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, "Homage to the courageous heroes we lost in Pulwama in 2019. The coming generations will never forget their sacrifice and their unwavering dedication to the nation." Unquote. And it's time now to shift focus to some sports news. India's Home Minister Amit Shah will be gracing the closing ceremony of the 38th National Games as the chief guest in Haldwani town of hilly state of Uttarakhand on Friday, that is today evening. The competition has been fierce so far, where nearly 10,000 athletes and coaches competed in 32 sports categories and 4 demonstration events. Narayan brings us more from Haldwani.
India's 38th National Games will come to a grand conclusion on Friday in Haldwani. The closing ceremony promises to be a spectacular event with honors for record-setting athletes and special performances by top artists. India's Home Minister Amit Shah will be the chief guest at the glittering ceremony with other dignitaries in attendance. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami inspected the venue and reviewed the security and other arrangements.
It's going to be a really grand show. At the same time, it's going to be very inclusive. And Honorable Chief Minister Sir has himself reviewed the preparations twice. We are inviting self-help groups, athletes, other notable persons, people or achievers in different fields.
National Games is such a high quality games, and it's same as like mini Olympics for India, let's say. So it really feels great.
Services Sports Control Board continues to dominate the medal tally, while Maharashtra is at the second place, followed by Haryana. Nearly 10,000 athletes and coaches compete at the games, which feature 32 sports as well as 4 demonstration events. The remarkable success of games showcases the growing sporting culture in the country. Sports Desk, DD India.
Services Sports Control Board emerged as the overall champion for the 5th time at the National Games, reclaiming the prestigious Raja Balindra Trophy. They dominated the medal tally with 68 gold, 26 silver, 27 bronze, securing a total of 121 medals. Maharashtra, last year's champion, finished as a runners-up on the 2nd spot in the podium with 54 gold, 71 silver, 73 bronze, ending with 198 medals. Haryana followed closely in 3rd spot, picking 48 gold, 47 silver and 58 bronze, making a total of 153 medals. A major highlight was the host state, Uttarakhand. Remarkable performance there by the host state. The state clinched 24 gold medals, 35 silver medals and 43 bronze medals, taking their medal tally to 100 plus 2. Let's quickly go live to my colleague Narayan Singh, who has been literally stationed in Haldwani to get us, day-to-day report and the way these games have been such a massive hit nationally, and of course there with the respective teams from different states and groups and camps vying for the top honours. Narayan, well, today is the concluding ceremony. We'll talk about what is expected in the evening, because remember, Honourable Prime Minister inaugurated and Home Minister is going to give, be the chief guest of the concluding ceremony. Take us through the significance and the way this has been widely received, the games and the winners.
Sakal, the way, as you mentioned, that's a big event, and we know that it's a mini Olympic of India where more than 10,000 participants are there. And if you talk about the Olympic event like Paris Olympic, even there also around 10,000 athletes are participating. In that manner, it is equivalent to that. And first time Uttarakhand hosted these national games, and in itself it was a big challenge for the state. Questions were raised about the infrastructure, about the equipment, about the management, but the way the games were hosted was, we can say that, best in the business. And the way you mentioned, PM Modi was there for the opening ceremony. It was one of the grandest opening ceremony in the history of the national games. Top-notch artists were there to perform, and the top-notch technology was there to mesmerize the audiences, to pull the audiences to the stadium. And today also we are in Haldwani, where the closing ceremony is taking place. Union Home Minister will be there in a short while, and people in large numbers are coming here to witness this event. And the most importantly, this event has, we can say that, just attracted the people of Uttarakhand to change the sporting ecosystem of the Uttarakhand, to make the infrastructure of the sporting infrastructure of the Uttarakhand at a better place. And definitely it was witnessed throughout the game, and the kind of performance the athlete all across the states performed, especially services once again, we can say, dominating the games.